So yes, today we are talking about Hereditary, which was directed by Ari Aster and stars Toni Collette, Gabriel Byrne, and a great performance from Millie Shapiro. This was another Veronica to me, which coincidentally you can watch my review of here, where people have put so much to it that I'm entering into it with suspicion and skepticism. The idea of Veronica being the scariest film for ages, the new Exorcist, I was a bit cautious and perhaps jaded with the idea, but it didn't really fulfill its promise. Hereditary, however, has been stated to kind of revolutionise the horror genre. And if we're talking about how the horror genre these days is either torture porn or jump scare central, then yes, it does. It returns to a more suspenseful, slow-paced, but it's not dragging out. It's a slow burn, I think, as much as anything. The suspense is building, and there's one typical jump scare moment, but it does make sense because when it involves someone screaming, you can put an underscore of an orchestral sting or something underneath, because you've already got the terrifying noise in the scream. It's just enhancing what's already there. It's not just making a noise of something moving. I was in a relatively full cinema screening. It wasn't empty by any stretch of the imagination, so people's reactions were obviously audible when a bunch of people do them at once. And there was one moment that in any other lesser film would have been a BAM kind of moment. There'd been a noise to accentuate it, but the shape passes in the background, and as soon as people noticed, there was an audible gasp, primarily from my left, weirdly. I was kind of just to the right of the room, looking at the screen, but it was mainly over in that section, which was a little weird, but there was this audible gasp, and it was great. And even the earned jump scare, I will say. There was girls to our right who just jumped out of their skin. There were people sort of down the bottom who jumped, and it was a great experience. I haven't had an experience like that in a cinema environment watching a horror film for a long time. I mean, I don't get to go super often. I can probably go once a month now, give or take. But it's not something I can do really often and really enjoy the experience. This, like I say, was just such a great experience, having everyone react properly to a horror. So in a way, yes, I think it has revolutionised the genre in a good way. But how is it on its own merits, just as a film with a story and happens to have horrific elements? Well, the title of the film is Hereditary, and we do follow a family. It's mum, dad, couple of kids, and we know that they've all got some kind of issue going on. It's quite apparent. I mean, the daughter's taking body parts of animals and gluing them to stuff, while the mother sort of makes these intricate little kind of dioramas, really. That's what she deals in. That's her life. And the dad's rarely there, it seems. They've all got these issues. Peter's a great stoner, the boy. And it's a family that seems to be at odds with each other even before we learn anything else. But the inciting incident is really the death of Toni Collette's mother. And that sort of starts this whole chain of the entire film, because she goes to a grief counselling group who sort of, she opens up to the fact that her mother had dissociative identity disorder, or whatever its name is now. I know psychiatric terms do keep changing names, so that's a term they use, and if that's wrong, I'm just quoting them. I apologise. Please feel free to correct me respectfully below. But she opens up about this, the whole family history, the issues they've all kind of had in the family, and I've started to think, well, it does probably explain the daughter a little, because Charlie's really creepy. Millie Shapiro really does it well. She's got that ability to just turn her head slightly and be terrifying. And this girl's not a full adult yet, so I can only imagine great things in her future. I really hope it for her. She seems lovely and sweet, actually. She's a big anime fan in real life. She seems she's a typical kind of girl who just enjoys life, and that's so far removed from Charlie. It's nice to see younger actors, these days, they perhaps they're being trained harder or something, but they're not just like, oh look, I'm on camera, smile. because that's what child actors used to be. It was always like, just look cute and smile, and I love the fact that they are giving heavy roles to them. But I'm digressing away from the film. It's just Millie Shapiro does such a great job that I did want to praise it. But, you know, she's creepy, she's just there looking in the distance, but eventually she gets dragged along to a party because Toni Collette doesn't want her son to go to this party and potentially get drunk and stoned and whatever else. Which, fair enough, you know, every protective parent ever, pretty much. But this leads to, you know, an asthma attack or an anaphylactic reaction because of her nuts in a cake, because Peter's not paying attention. You know, it's set up early on as well, the fact that she can't have nuts. Just subtly. It's not exposition central. It's not like, oh, can't give nuts to Charlie. Someone just asks, oh, are there nuts in that chocolate bar? That's it. One line. Beautiful. Brilliant. Well done. But, you know, she suffers a very horrific injury. And again, this is another great moment, or another great tool that's used. It doesn't show us the decapitation straight away. It leaves it a long while, and we've all got it in the back of our mind. Even Peter didn't want to look, and we've all got it in the back of our mind of, are we going to see it? Are we going to see it? And then we do, and it's more of a relief. I was less, that's horrible. I was like, okay, thank you, we've seen it. I can now deal with it. I can come to terms with it. I can move past it. And that's great. It's a wonderful stylistic choice. There's so many great stylistic choices in this that it almost forgives the last, 20 minutes or so? I wasn't timing, I don't know. The last act just does get very weird, because we suddenly get into this whole demonic thing, because to help her deal with the death of Charlie, Toni Collette's character goes to see this Joan, who happens to apparently be a medium now, who's, you know, she saw the grief counselling, and, you know, she's kind of become close to. And she gets to this ritual, which was basically a way for the demon that was in Charlie to find a new host in Peter. And this is where the film kind of really goes off the rails, when it goes all in on that. We have them trying to burn the notepad, which was like the conduit for Charlie, or for the demon Payman, really. And Gabriel Byrne is set on fire, and that's kind of almost slightly humorous. I think there were a few little titters, but it wasn't that bad. But then we started getting like the people that we've seen at various points in the film being like cult members in full nakedness, and people were laughing, and I was thinking maybe it's immature. I mean, Amy did kind of say, well, maybe it's like the uncomfortableness of it. People just didn't know how to react because they're kind of unsettled and they're seeing naked people, and it's throwing off their sort of fight or flight response, really, their survival instinct. So maybe that's the case. Maybe I'm just thinking too little of people and thinking they're just immature and can't deal with naked bodies. I don't know. But there was one humorous moment that even I just kind of looked at Amy with a face of, okay, I can't not laugh at that. It was one of the only less than ideal moments, one of the only ones that really took me out of the film for a moment, of Toni Collette's character's headless corpse floating up to a clubhouse thing, a treehouse. That was just hilarious, and I couldn't help myself but find that humorous against my better judgment. But aside from the ending of this film, I think it was really well done. It probably has changed the genre a bit. It's re-shown us that we can have a film that doesn't have to rely on jump scares. It doesn't have to be super fast-paced with blood and gore every 5 minutes. It can be a slow build. And the indie scene has known this for years. There are plenty of great independent horrors out there that have always relied on a slow burn, a lack of musical punctuation. And the fact that there are things now being mainstream that are re-educating themselves with this can only mean good things in the future. So I really enjoyed it for what it was. I don't give ratings, but I did think it's a strong 7 or 8 out of 10. Maybe like a B plus or something maybe. Whatever way suits you. If you wanted to slap a rating on it, that's what I'd say, but I don't tend to. But I like I say, I enjoyed it for what it was. I don't think it was a waste of time. And like I say, hope for the future. I can't wait to see what Ari Aster comes out with next. But I do hope they'll join me the next few weeks. I'm not putting it off anymore, I promise. This will be the big project I've been on about. You're probably like, oh, I don't care anymore, but I will get it done. It's my commitment to myself and to you. So I do hope you'll join me the next few weeks. But until then, as always, Take care.